What's good, everyone? It's your boy Salos back in another Monster Hunter video, and let me tell you something, okay? I made a promise to all of you. Whether this is your first episode, whether you've been around since 2022, because yes, this series has officially turned 2 years old. God, that feels weird to say, but I made a promise to you guys that this series would not end until we slay Fatalis. I will say that the Fatalis arc was a lot shorter than the Elatrian arc. I think it took us about a month to beat Fatalis, but there is still a lot in that to talk about. So much so, in fact, that this is the first discussion video where I have a list of notes in front of me because I want to make sure that I don't forget any little minute detail about what happened in this hunt. And we want to address a couple things if you guys want to know about the future of the series and the future of Monster Hunter on the channel, then stick around to the end of the video because we do have a release date for Monster Hunter Wilds, and yes, we will be playing Monster Hunter Wilds on this channel. So that's something you're interested in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and stick around for that. But I'm not going to spend too much time talking about that right now. If you guys want to know more, there are iCards. You can skip to the end of the video and hear what I have to say about that. But right now, we are here to talk about one thing and one thing only. The big, bad, legendary dragon, Fatalis. And if there is one thing that I can say about Fatalis off the jump, is that I have to very much appreciate the fact that it really does drive home the fact on what this series is all about. Monster Hunter is first and foremost a multiplayer experience. And if you guys haven't been around, if you guys have only been seeing the Road to Fatalis arc, then you might not know that this series actually started off in single player. Because at the time, a bug didn't have PlayStation Online. He was still trying to get enough finance so he could afford it consistently to get the 1-year membership. And DP, he was just busy with his girlfriend and doing things in his own personal life. So for a little bit, it was just me playing through all of this by myself. And I apologize if you guys hear any background noise. I currently am recording this when Hurricane Helene is at its peak destruction. So hope you guys are staying safe out there if you guys are affected by the hurricane and all the bad weather. It was pretty bad last night, but I'm good. I'm safe. But stay safe out there, hunters. And I hope that Amatsu hasn't wreaked too much havoc wherever you may be living or residing at the moment. Anywho, if you couldn't tell by that reference alone, yes, I was okay with that because I am a 5th gen hunter. I always tell this story that technically my first game was Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, but as the old saying goes, your first Monster Hunter game is never your first Monster Hunter game. I played 4 Ultimate, got to Gore Magala, hated it, put the game down, said the game was stupid, came back 6 years later, picked up Rise, fell in love with it. So for all intents and purposes, I do consider Rise my very first game. So yeah, I know that there is a stigma on new world hunters, even world babies. Like I've seen the video, so don't be trying to play world hunters. I know that there was a time when you guys were the new kids in town, and all the veterans from the Frontiers and 4 Ultimate and 3 and Mocha Village and all the people that they were giving y'all crap. Now y'all trying to give us crap. Not all of you, but that's just for a whole nother video. But yeah, all that to say is that there's this stigma that we're nurtured by wire bugs and quality of life, and that we don't know what it's like to play a real Monster Hunter game, and that we don't know what we're doing, or we don't know what a real hunt is, because back in my day, when you cart, you lose your food buffs, or back in my day, you couldn't go back to Stamping Infinite Restock, which was a World Edition, not a Rise Edition, but I digress. Yeah, all of that to say is that I wanted to show that, okay, yes, I started in a quote-unquote easier game, but that don't mean that this Kimura hunter can't throw hands in the older games. So I wanted I wanted to represent what a Kimura hunter looks like. That you put us in the old generation, pick your game. Frontier 3, the very first game, World, Iceborne, it doesn't matter. The fierce flames of Kimura is a flame that cannot be quenched so easily. Okay, so I want to show you guys what a Kimura hunter actually looked like outside of Rise. So that was one reason why I didn't mind playing the game solo. But another reason is that this is just me in general. I typically don't like to play multiplayer games. You could probably attribute it to school and doing school projects or whatever may have you, but I'm just a very intense person and I like to go big and go hard. Like I don't really, I feel like a lot of times like teammates hold me back in a sense, and I never want to like put my high standards on other people, you know? Because I know that I'm a very unique person, that I push myself harder than probably the average person does, and that's for better and for worse. So I don't want to enforce my high standards onto other people. And I feel like whenever I'm in a multiplayer setting or multiplayer anything, that it kind of holds me back because I have to meet them where they are at. So in return, I'll just say, you know what, I'll do it myself. And that's I don't want to say that's a dangerous mindset to have, but a lot of things, especially in life, you just cannot do things on your own. That you can always achieve more with other people, and that is I don't want to say a selfish perception to have, but teamwork is crucial. And if for nothing else, this monster right here taught me the value and the importance and the power that comes in numbers and working together. So if for nothing else, that this monster has taught me how to be a team player, how to value other people's strengths, how to bring out the best in other people, and that we all bring something to the table. That I may not, that my friend a bug might have a skill that I don't have, or I might have a skill that a bug doesn't have, but we need each other and we need to use our own individual skills to overcome this hurdle that is Fatalis. And that was the whole design philosophy around Monster Hunter, that there are these, that back in the day, you were designed to be a very frail hunter and like literally just a human fighting a literal dragon. That if you're just a human, you can't beat a dragon by yourself, but maybe in a team of 4, you could take it down. Even in the Monster Hunter Wilds demo, keep in mind that the demo, they do have multiplayer demos. I want to say that it's a very crucial element in the development cycle that you know how to play cooperatively with other players. So for that, I do really appreciate Fatalis for what he did. And I feel like that even if you are like me and you are playing this solo all the time or you don't have friends, I feel like that within the hunt itself, that it does a pretty good job of setting up the tone of that you probably cannot do this by yourself. I mean, of course, Fatalis solos are out there. You very easily find them on YouTube, but I feel like the game does it best in showing you versus telling you. And what a better place to start than with the siege that you do with Fatalis, where you are forced to do it solo. Whether you've been playing this game with your friends or whatever, everyone has to fight Fatalis by themselves. And I think that is a very intentional choice on the developer's part. And before I even talk about that, I just want to take a minute to just kind of remind everyone that a lot of these monsters, not even a lot of them, about 90% of monsters in the monster roster for Monster Hunter, a lot of these are based off of animals in reality. I could go through this and like pick out examples and showing you what monsters are based off of what animals, but if you guys are curious, just go look it up. That a lot of these monsters are based in reality because they want to drive it home that yes, while these are monsters, that they still do relate back to things that we know in our reality, and they'll relate to things that we see in our everyday lives. That these may be quote unquote monsters, but they are still based in reality to give the game a more grounded sense, or versus being a more whimsical, magical land that we can't relate to. It's a very it takes so much extra effort to base these monster designs off of real life animals, but they do that to give it that extra layer of personalization of making you feel or get that much more attached to the world that you're within, which I really do applaud. That does not apply to Fatalis, and I think that that is very, 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 very intentional. Because when you look at Fatalis, you look at some of these monster designs, like you look at like Raging Brachiosaurus or something, like when you look at him, like what is he, like a boxer or something? Like a lot of these monster designs look so out there, but again, they still are based in reality. And then you look at Fatalis, and he's literally just a dragon. Like just your stereotypical fire-breathing dragon. It's like, wow, how creative. But again, dragons are based in fantasy, in fairy tales. When you look at Fatalis, he's just a very stereotypical Eastern dragon. Like, nothing more to it, just a fire-breathing dragon. And because he is based off of something in fantasy, it disassociates your familiarity with every other monster in it. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you are making parallels to things that you've seen in the real world with these monsters. But Fatalis, your first reaction is, bro, it's just a dragon. A dragon as in a fantastical creature that has never existed in reality. Because it's just to go home and to drive the point home that Fatalis is not of this world. You see how all this goes in, and that is just a perfect segue into why they make you do this first siege solo with no friends whatsoever. If we go a layer deeper, the very battleground that we have, because the lore of Fatalis is that he ravaged that all of our weapons like Charge Blade and Hammer and bow guns and all that all these were created by I don't think we actually have heard the name of the ancient civilization, but it was a civilization that existed long time ago that created Dragonators and other mechanical marvels, and that we are set in this quote-unquote medieval age because all the technological advances that humans have made were destroyed by Fatalis in this ancient civilization. So the battleground that we are fighting in was the ancient civilization's last stand against Fatalis, and they failed. And I just want to say that I would be so down. I would be so down to have a Doomsday game where we get to play as the ancient civilization, and maybe our hunter will, even though you might not be able to, beat Fatalis, because obviously there are no survivors as far as we know, or maybe there was a survivor out there and we just haven't met them yet. That could be a segue too. But if we're playing as this hunter who is like their last stand, we fight in Castle Siege, and we just get to experience what the ancient civilization was like, I feel that would make for a very, very interesting game. But I'm getting off topic here. So seriously. There's just something morbid about knowing that you're fighting on a battleground where the previous group failed. Even on a subconscious level, that's gotta just kind of eat at you. That's just so I don't even know how to put that into words. It's a feeling that does not make you feel inspired that you can do this, that you're fighting literally where the last group failed. But despite that, he takes a step further where it's not just a gut feeling. He's gonna show it to you on how tough it is. That he's throwing things at you, and when you're first fighting for the first time, you might feel relieved when that cutscene comes out, because I know I sure did. I got clapped. I'm not afraid to admit it. I failed my first siege against Fatalis. So my little single player butt was like, oh crap, I know I want to fight Fatalis solo, but I might actually need my friends for this. And again, I think that that's a very intentional choice, because they want to show you that you might be that guy, or literally, you're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. So you better call up your friends, or you better make some friends to take down this final challenge that is in Iceborne. And even taking it a step further, even Yuden, you're not totally useless, because the excitable A-lister, or his actual name Yuden, because if you guys watch Legend of the Guild, you know that's his name. He's like there with you. Like he's throwing out dust of lives, he's flinching Fatalis with his ranged weapons. It's showing you that, okay, maybe if I had at least one other person with me to kind of distract it between Fatalis, like even like when he's focused on Yuden for a little bit, then that's like your openings that Fatalis comes down when he's chasing Yuden. That's your chance to go for his horns, because we'll get to that. Breaking Fatalis' horns is actually very important in this fight. So yeah, it's just to show you that yes, multiplayer is probably going to be very crucial. And I think that Yuden being there is to kind of further drive that point home versus showing you that yes, you can, but not telling you explicitly, go grab some friends and do this in a group hunt. But this entire first phase, when you're fighting against Fatalis, I want to say that in this phase, this is probably the phase where you want to do as much horn damage as possible, because there are 3 modes to Fatalis that you need to hopefully do before the 3rd phase. I'm feeling like I might be getting ahead of myself here, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it here. That if you don't break Fatalis' horns, then you're gonna be fighting a full powered Fatalis by the end of the fight. And let me just say, a full powered Fatalis is something that you do not want to experience, because he hits extremely hard. His flames are so bright that they are a whitish purple, and that just shows you that yeah, have as much fire resistance you want, you're probably getting incinerated, and you're not like locked out the fight in the same sense where you're locked out the fight again like you are against Elatrion. But if you don't break those horns, you're fighting an uphill battle, and you might as well just go ahead and restart the quest and try to break one of those horns. If you break one of his horns, the fight isn't impossible, but it's going to be an uphill battle, because the handler will say that the horns are broken, his flames are definitely weaker now. But his flames still hit like a freaking truck. Probably not the best choice of words from the handler, but I get what she's trying to say, that it's not impossible. You can definitely do it, because I think that in the run that when we actually did beat Fatalis, I think we only broke 1 horn, but we still beat him. Just showing that it's not impossible, that if there is a will, there is a way. So as long as you break at least 1 horn, you might be down, but you're definitely not out. And if you manage to break 2 horns, his flames aren't, I mean, it's still Fatalis, they still hit pretty freaking hard. But if you break both horns, not only are you rewarded a mantle, because you get a guaranteed mantle for Fatalis if you break both his horns, which I think Atlanta driving at its finest. But sorry about that, folks. But yeah, it just goes to show that even the game acknowledges you and rewards you for breaking both his horns, and your reward is that you basically won the fight at that point. That he is significantly weakened, he is significantly nerfed, and you're in phase 3 at that point, where you can actually tank his hits, and now you can turn the tide of the battle in your favor. So I think that that's a very well-designed aspect of it. That I think that was super well thought out, of making those different mechanics of the fight to show you and reward the players for having different levels of aggression. Also, I haven't really been talking about this all that much, but it's literally just the attention to detail that I feel makes this fight so much more memorable and so much more enjoyable than the Elatrion fight, because it's literally just the attention to detail that I really appreciate with Fatalis. From when you clutch claw onto him, you can see little sparks from your actual clutch claw clinging onto his hard chain-like skin. That just shows how hard and how thick his hide is. When he flies over you, when he shoots a fireball, your hunter literally recoils and you're stuck as if you're almost in a hard knockdown. When he flaps his wings and flies over you, you are wind pressured and you cannot move. It's all of these things that come together that just make a larger than life experience. Even when after he scorches the land, when you switch into the 2nd phase, you can see the literal ground being ripped up from underneath you. You can see the battleground literally being destroyed. Everything's in flames. Everything's on fire. Structures that were there at the beginning of the fight are no longer there. he is literally destroying the very ground you are fighting him on. So it's like if you don't kill him fast enough, he will destroy you, just like he is destroying this battleground you are having your final standoff against him in. And I'm not really a music guy. This is why I actually would appreciate having DP on this, because he actually is majoring in music. He's actually working on his master's degree right now, and I will say that we're doing some stuff with him there's stuff that we've already recorded, and there's stuff that he might be down to do later on, but I'm not really that well versed in music. I took it a long time ago, back in high school, but yeah, it's been a minute. So it's really just the music alone sells so much of this fight for me, because the score is just so great and is so grandiose that every time I hear it, I'm just blown away every time. From the piano solo to the chorus just going crazy. It's everything, and it's like perfectly timed with the action. The action matching up with the different chords of the song just gives it doesn't matter what you're currently going through in the fight. That it just feels like it's always just perfect. That the music always just hits just right no matter where it is. I wish DP was here for this, because he is much more articulate with why music gives you the feelings that you get, but maybe I'll be in for another video. If you guys are down for that and you guys want to hear that, let me know in the comments, because I know that's something that DP is very passionate about. He loves music, so if you want him to share his expertise on the subject, then let me know, and maybe we might be able to work something out. Also, DP has no idea I'm saying any of this right now, so I have no idea if he's actually on board with doing something like that. So, no pressure, DP, but the people want what the people want, right? But now let me get back on topic here. But all I can say is that no matter how hopeless the situation seems, no matter in the second phase specifically, I should emphasize that it gives a very hopeful feeling that no matter how many times you've carded, no matter how many stocks you have remaining, no matter how low your health is, it always just the music feels very dreadful and somber, and it does feel like it's admitting that you're fighting this larger than life threat itself. But there is like an underlying melody in the song that's accompanying the main chorus that it's very hopeful, and it gives you a feeling that it's not over until it's over. And that little bit of the song that's accompanying the main melody of the song just gives you a feeling that it might be hopeless, it might look hopeless, but don't give up, because there is a chance you can do this. And for everything that Fatalis is doing, from nuking and scorching the land beneath you with no cover whatsoever, for every move like that, you have a one-shot binder to hold Fatalis in position, so that if you're using something like dual blades, you actually have a chance to reach the horns. You have roaming ballistas that if you time it right and you aim your shots, you can literally snipe him out of the sky when he's flying around. You have arrows that can pierce him, and you can shoot him out of the sky with your arrows if you so choose, and break his horns from the sky. For every move that seems impossible, there is something in this map that will allow you to feel like you're still in the fight and it's not impossible, despite the odds that you are stacked against. That it won't be easy, you're gonna have to earn it, the game will not give it to you. This is the final hurdle in a pretty hard game, all things considered. But from everything you've learned up until this point, every boss you fought, every loss you've had, this is your final test to see if you've truly mastered this game. And talking about the music, once those Dragonators launch and impale that demon, do you get met with one of the most iconic moments in Monster Hunter. Every game has this moment where you're fighting the final, well, as far as I know, I'm not sure about other games, but as far as Rise and Sunbreak, yes, when the Dragonators impale or whenever something climactic happens, Proof of a Hero starts to play. And I never really got it when people got so hyped about the main theme playing, but I kind of get it in the moment. It's like literally your visual cue, not visual cue, but but your audio cue that the light is at the end of the tunnel, that you're almost there. And there's something about just hearing the first ever iteration of Proof of a Hero, because we did hear it in Rise and Sunbreak, and I don't know, it didn't really hit the same. So I'll just let the other versions of Proof of a Hero play, and you can tell me what you think is the definitive version. Or I don't know, I just feel like there's something different about hearing the very first iteration of it. So you guys let me know on this one, alright? I don't know. Music is subjective, so there's no real way to really definitively say that the original mix is the better. And it's not, you can't say nostalgic, because my first game literally was Rise. So if anything, I would have bias towards the Rise and Sunbreak theme. But I don't know, man. Hearing the very first Proof of a Hero theme, the thing that you hear for pretty much every Monster Hunter promotion, it just hits a little differently for me, at least. And I think Fatalis knows that too, because everyone says that when Proof of a Hero plays, you usually get plot armor, but not against Fatalis, because he hears Proof of a Hero too, so he knows that it's the last stand. But it really is just a surreal experience, and that's all I can really say about the whole thing. I want to say that just from a fight perspective alone, it just feels so cinematic. Is so much different than fighting Elatrion, because I went back and fought Elatrion several times now. I've actually came pretty close to doing a solo a few times myself. So I don't want to say that Elatrion is a bad fighter or anything. I don't fall into that camp on Elatrion was a terrible fighter or blah blah blah. Well, that's a whole can of worms in itself. But I will say that the pure spectacle of Fatalis, and I'll save whenever the full Fatalis video comes out, then I'll save all my thoughts for that video specifically, because I want to isolate my personal thoughts from my group thoughts, because there are a difference, and you guys will see what I'm talking about when that video does come out. But as an individual, I never got bored fighting Fatalis, because he's just everything that I talked about in this video, that it just all comes together in this beautiful package that this really does feel like the final cinematic monster to have everything come full circle. That it rounds off everything with the old world. It ties in the old world with the new world. That both it's kind of like you're showing the old world what you've learned here in the new world, and that is further exemplified in the final cutscene, which I won't be talking about here. But yeah, there's even like a final cutscene where the old world commander, I guess, the black dude, when he was like, "Wow, you New World hunters really have a thing or two. What's that device you wear on your wrist? You call it a slinger? What is that? Can you develop? He mass produced that for us in the old world? And is that like our segue into how we have those in Wilds? I don't know, but all I know is that this really just it really is. And this is coming from someone that kind of like ventures off and does his own things, because I very much have strayed off from the path that my parents have set for me in more ways than one. So it really is a little gratifying to show that because even in this world that we're setting off to this new world, uncharted territory, unknown dangers, there's so much that you don't know that we as New World hunters are figuring it out. And you're charting your own path and going where others have failed, and you are the one that's brave enough to make that first step. And this hunt is showing you everything you've learned in the new world. To me, that's just a little satisfying, because it also hits a little personal for me. So I don't know, maybe there's personal bias in there, but like I said, this is my videos, my thoughts. I'm allowed to be a little biased in my own video, okay? But all I gotta say is that I truly do feel like Fatalis is the boss of all time, and I had a blast fighting him. I had so much fun. I've even went back. This run right here is I helped these guys get their first win against Fatalis. I intentionally went in and looked for hunts of people who haven't beat Fatalis for the first time, and when the Admiral just says it for the first time, his line just hits so differently, you guys.
It's over. You are.
It's not like the Admiral didn't believe us, but it's more like that laugh is just a mix of disbelief, shock, awe, pride, everything, because he's seen you come from this rookie hunter, from someone who had a lot of spunk and a lot of vigor, that you had the spark, but to see you take down a literal living legend, it's like a laugh of pride, a lot of pride of disbelief that we've defied pretty much history, taking down black dragons, and there is nothing that we have done that we've never proven him wrong in any sense. And I don't know, you guys, that just gets a little different. That laugh right there just encompasses everything that I've been saying this entire time. It has been a blast. I love this fight. I think that this was worth titling this an entire series after. The Road to Fatalis was magical. It was amazing. I loved every moment of it, and I cannot wait for you guys to see the final product. I don't know when the video is going to be out, but it will definitely be out before Wilds comes out, because ain't no one paying attention to the world after Wilds comes out. Now, I feel like this video is already dragged on a little bit long enough, so I won't do the whole deep dive, because I feel like the whole point of Fatalis, this is the last hunt in the game, but I cannot end this video off without talking about the Fatalis armor, because I feel like a lot of us who joined this game, whether it's through the Return to World campaign or you picked up this game like me, so just sometime along the way, that if you played this game after Fatalis came out, look, let me just say this, that this isn't just a Monster Hunter thing, this is just a me thing in general, that I never liked to I guess in Yu-Gi-Oh terms, it's called net decking. And what net decking essentially is when you go online and you look at the top decks that are online, you basically take that deck and then you just kind of just pick the cards and just use someone else's success. Also, there's things like that in competitive Pokemon as well. The most common thing I can think of is when it's in the recent Pokemon format, well, the one that just ended, because I haven't really followed the newest format, but the previous one that's in the Regulation G, in Indianapolis, a really talented player ended up winning with the legendary Pokemon Miraidon, who was previously thought of to be a pretty bad legendary. But he won, and that team was so dominant, it was so strong, and it had such a strong showing that Miraidon went from basically a never used legendary to the most used legendary on the ladder and the most used legendary in competitive play. So I know that's a thing that people go online and they take things that have worked and they adapt it into their own. But for me, I just like to be original, you know? So I know that there are people out there that they don't know how to build armors, they don't know how to build sets, so they just kind of go online, they look up sets on things that work tried and true to kind of get their foot in the right direction. But if you played this game after Fatalis came out, the only thing you would say is just use Fatalis, bro. Like, literally. Everywhere you looked online, it would just say, just use the Fatalis armor, bro. Because there was quite literally no reason to use any other armor in the entire game outside the Fatalis armor. You want to know why? And I also want to say this too, that I get it's Fatalis. This isn't just any old final boss. This is literally probably the most iconic monster in the Monster Hunter series outside of Rathalos. So I get that when the Fatalis armor comes out, it has to live up to the legend that is Fatalis. However, I feel like that this game went about it in such a weird way, because their way of making Fatalis this powerful, all-encompassing monster is that if you aren't familiar with how world skills work, basically monsters have what are called secret skills. So the one that I'm probably just gonna go with my favorite one. Let's go with probably like the most popular secret skill, Agitator Secret. So Agitator is every time the monster becomes enraged, that you will get an increase to your attack power, or increase to your affinity, with your affinity being your chance to crit. So usually secret skills are locked to a monster, and in an Agitator Secret, that was locked to Brachydius and Raging Brachydius. So you have to use Brachydius or Raging Brachydius armor if you want to have Agitator Secret. Fatalis basically said, oh, you want Agitator Secret? You got it, bro. You got it. So you can have Agitator Secret. You could have Tool Specialist Secret. You could have Divine Blessing Secret. You could have Free Meal Secret. So basically, the things that made the monsters unique, it kind of took away their personality, and it took away a lot of the creativity to experiment with other armors, because at that point, the only armor you should ever consider is Fatalis. The only two exceptions are Volcana and Safi'jiiva. That's because their specific armors are not secret skills. They actually have unique effects. The Safi'jiiva has the damage increase where you lose a little bit of health every time you swing your weapon, but if you hit the monster enough times, you get all that HP back, on top of getting a massive increase to your to your elemental damage and your affinity. So Fatalis armor cannot copy that. And Volcana being Frostcraft, where when you sheath your weapon, that there's a meter that builds up, and after you unsheath your weapon, then you get a damage increase for every draw attack you do for every time you unsheath your weapon. So there's a little bit of incentive to use other weapons, to use other armors, but quite literally only those two armors are relevant after Fatalis came out. So why couldn't everything just work like Safi'jiiva and Volcana? I don't know. I don't know, and I've never played another Monster Hunter game, and quite literally, I don't care to look up how Fatalis armor worked in other games. But what I will say is this, that I kind of don't care, because it's one of two things. On top of this being Fatalis, there's also this thing that it hasn't really been a thing in Pokemon for quite a long time. I'm sorry, I'm using so many Pokemon analogies, but Pokemon is like pretty much my second love at this point. So in Pokemon back in Gen 1, There were 151 Pokemon. We all know this, or we might all know this. I don't know, but one of those Pokemon included Mewtwo. And Mewtwo back in the day was kind of like Fatalis in a sense, where you hear rumors of this powerful roaming legendary, this secret Pokemon that was created by man that no one knows where it is. No one quite knows if it's even existed or if it's real or if it's a myth. Mewtwo is shrouded in mystery, and you go to the Cinnabar Islands, and that's where you find out little documents of Mewtwo, where it's like Mew gave birth, and we tested it on something, and we tried to take its DNA to create it and replicate it, and it went berserk and went haywire, and now we don't know where Mewtwo is. So it's kind of like you know it's out there, or there's records of it, but you've never seen it. There's no data on it. It's never mentioned in the games outside the one instance in the Cinnabar Mansion. However, after you beat the game, after you become the champion, you get access to this cave that has been blocked off for literally the entire game. And at the end of the cave is Mewtwo. And Mewtwo, there's a reason why everyone says save your Master Ball for Mewtwo, because Mewtwo has the lowest catch rate in the game. It is the highest level Pokemon you can find in the game, and it is quite literally the biggest hurdle that you can overcome, because he constantly heals, so you can't get it down to low HP because he's healing up his HP. He has the most broken setup move in Generation 1, Barrier, which increases both your defense and offense in Gen 1 only. So if you don't kill him fast enough, you can't kill him. He's nuking your team, and he's basically not taking any damage at that point, on top of healing whatever the little damage you were doing. That's why the meme of you save your Master Ball for Mewtwo exists. Because once you have Mewtwo, once that power is on your side, nothing else in the game stands a chance against you. And that's kind of the feeling I get with Fatalis armor, because there's nothing left to do. Just like a Pokemon, after you call up Mewtwo, you've beaten the game. You've proven you're the very best. You probably are pretty close to completing your Pokédex. At that point, that's probably all there's left to do is complete your Pokédex. So for whatever is left for you to do in the game, it's kind of like your reward for overcoming everything the game has come to throw at you. So that's why I don't really have a problem with Fatalis armor being so broken, because it's like this is your reward for overcoming, for all intents and purposes, a pretty difficult game. Because Iceborne is not an easy game, despite what people say. I don't think it's an easy game, at least. I think it's definitely one of the harder games I've played in recent times. So I get it, and it's also just I feel like another underutilized, or one of the less talked about points in the Fatalis armor is that at level 4 you get true razor sharp, and you get permanent health boost just inbuilt into your armor, so you never have to really worry about losing your food buffs or losing HP when you faint, because as long as you're wearing Fatalis armor, you have max HP and max stamina at all times. I feel like that's something that people don't really talk about that much, but that was something that I learned about once I got the Fatalis armor. So, and let's not forget about the slottage. That is just very, very stupid. So the Fatalis armor, the individual pieces are pretty nice as well. The head has max stun resist. You get a little bit of crit eye. You get a little bit of weakness exploit. All the nice stuff in there as well. But you get so many level 4 slots to play around with that it's kind of insane that you can really create and craft whatever you want. It is the ultimate freedom, because you can craft. I've made support builds with Fatalis. I've made offense builds with Fatalis. I've made element sets with Fatalis. I've made gathering sets with Fatalis armor. It literally is the armor to end all armors. So I kind of don't mind it, but I do understand how it's a little overtuned, which is why I do feel like Amatsu's armor, when it finally did come time for Amatsu to come out in Sunbreak, that he kind of was paying for Fatalis' sins, in a sense. So I'm sorry, Amatsu, that you had to pay for Fatalis' sins, but the Amatsu armor still isn't a bad piece of armor either. It has a lot of good good qualities to it. But again, also I feel like it is just because it's Fatalis at the end of the day. It is the most iconic monster in the series outside of Rathalos. So I didn't mind it at all, but I feel like I had to touch on it just a little bit. And all in all, I think that it was definitely an armor that is a little controversial, but in my personal opinion, I didn't mind it all that much. All in all, final thoughts, I thought that this fight was just a masterpiece in every sense of the way. From the fight design to the difficulty to the cinematics, the music. There are some bad things I can say about that, but I attribute that more to the multiplayer aspect of it, and you guys will hear more about that when the actual hunt comes out. And I don't want to spoil too much on the video. I want to give you guys a reason to watch the video. I don't want to tell you literally everything. But this is just my personal thoughts on the Fatalis fight. Personally, on a personal level, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I have willingly went back into the Fatalis fight, even after we got the clear. I've been helping randos get their first clear with it. So I've had a lot of fun with it. I thought that this was a very well thought out fight. It was a perfect way to send off Iceborne, and I feel like people were a little hard on Amatsu for that they were comparing it to the Fatalis fight. But I still went back and fought Amatsu recently, and I still thought the Amatsu fight was still very fun in its own right. I don't think that is as memorable as the Fatalis fight. I don't think that I'll remember Amatsu nearly as well as I remember the Fatalis arc, but all in all, I can't wait for that video to come out because I can't wait to share it with you guys. So thank you guys for listening to my discussion on all this. But if you've made it to the end of the video, we've got a little bit of business to talk about before I end off. So I'm sure you guys have heard by now, Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out at the end of February of next year. That doesn't give us really a lot of time. And at the time recording this video, there are a total of 3 videos left to record. Well, there are a total of 3 videos left to post. There's the Archtimper Volcana video that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. There is the Elatrion video, the Fatalis video, and one video that I'm keeping under wraps. But let's just say it's a video you guys have been asking for, and one more after that. After that, we are officially done with the Iceborne series. Now, I will say that I have started a new series. I have been alluding it to it for a little bit now, and I won't keep it in the dark any longer. If you guys have watched this far in the video, I'm pretty sure you guys might be a little devoted to the channel. So the next playthrough is going to be my Rise playthrough on the PS5. And we have started. It is going to be with my boy DP. As of right now, we are at All Mother. So we're just about done with base Rise. All we got to do is Sunbreak. And there is no way we're getting done with that before May. Before May. Where did May come from? There's no way we're getting done with that before February. So here's what's going to happen. I do have a plan on how this is gonna exist alongside Wilds. This is how it's gonna be. But considering that I have so much of this recorded already, I pretty much already have the first 3 episodes already lined up and ready to go. So I hope you guys give the series a chance. I know that it'll be a little bit of a thing to kind of tide you guys over until Wilds comes out, because we still got to go through all of October, November, December, and January, and all of February before Wilds comes out. So I feel like it'll be a nice little way for you guys to get more Monster Hunter content, and it'll be a nice little way for me to relive some memories in Rise. So that's going to be coming out. Just wait for it. There's no official date, but when that first episode drops, I think you guys are it's going to be a very different series. You guys will see what I mean by that. I'm not going to put all my cards on the table, but just know that I do have a way of tying that into the Wild series, but you guys got to wait and see what I mean by that. So just to recap, there will not be a video coming out this Saturday. I don't want to say next Saturday for certain, but my goal is the following Saturday that I'll have the Archtimper Volcana video coming out. After that, we're going to do all the Arch-Tempered monsters. After that, we're going to it's gonna be a little bit of a break, but in early December, the Electron video should be coming out. Don't hold me to that, but my goal is December 3rd. That's gonna be my goal to get the Electron video out. Fatalis, he's gonna come out sometime before Wild, okay? I haven't even started the draft of that video just yet, but the Electron video I want to say is about 40% done. But once I'm done with all these other videos, that should just be able to hard focus on that Electron video and just lock in from there. So you guys will finally stop hearing about the trauma. You guys will probably start hearing secondhand accounts of the Electron experience. You guys will be able to see the full thing and how it played out, and all 50 attempts that went into trying to take down Electron. Okay, so look forward to that. And yeah, I feel like that's all there really is to say at this point. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I guess I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you guys for being so patient. Thank you guys for always sticking with all the content. And I promise that we will be back with more Monster Hunter relatively soon. But with all that being said, I'm about to get about. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Till then, deuces.